Hello, fifth grade students, and it's Miss Dom here, ready for some art. Today we're going to be taking a look in our workbook, and we're going to find the page that says, I can learn my artist voice. All of us have a voice, and we have a voice that we speak with. You might have a voice that you use in writing, and of course you have a voice in singing, and you also have a voice when you create your artwork. So we use the principles of design and the elements of art to create a work of art, and those are sort of the building blocks that we use. But when we're creating art, we have something to say, and what we're saying is we're using our voice. So what you are communicating through your art is where we come into the idea of having an artist voice. So all of us, whether we're kids or adults, whether we're professional artists or we do art just as a way to calm down and have fun, we all bring into our art a little piece of ourselves. And our art reflects who we are, where we live, the time that we're living in, the experiences we've had, and all of the things that make us who we are, our likes, our dislikes, our opinions, our temperament. All of those parts of us kind of come together, and then when we use our art skills, we are able to communicate an idea or a thought. And so it's important to think about and sort of reflect on what you're saying with your voice and why you're saying it. So on this workbook page, what I'd like you to do is sort of think about some of the things that are important to you, or some of the things that make you unique, or things that you would express within your art. And so each of these little ovals and circles is a place where you can put something a little bit about yourself. So I'm going to share my example with you. If you take a look over here, oh, wrong side. If you take a look over here at my workbook here I worked on, I have got some things that sort of popped into my mind. Now, obviously, this is not everything there is to know about me. Just a few things that sort of came to the forefront. And as I was doing this, I was realizing that these themes do pop up in my artwork. So one of them is the 80s. So I went to high school in the 80s, the 1980s, long time ago, and there was a particular style and culture of that time that I think has influenced me in my life and growing up at that time. And so right now, you are growing up and having experiences that will impact the rest of your life. And so it's kind of interesting, for better or for worse. Your world is right now is going to influence who you are in the future. Something to think about. I also have making jewelry, because that's something I've been doing a lot. That's something that's really been a fun thing for me to do, getting through COVID and having to be sort of at home more than normal. And I did talk about that in one of my videos for Labor Day that I wasn't sure if everybody was going to see, so I just wanted to do something kind of fun, talk a little bit about what I'm enjoying. The beach. I like going to the beach. Growing up, we used to come to North Carolina when I lived in New Jersey, and now living in North Carolina, I still like to visit the beach and also the mountains. I have a pet cat, so I've done some artwork based on my cat. I've also done some paintings of the beach from photographs that I've taken of the sunrise in particular. My mother and my grandfather were artists, and so they made art kind of important to me, and I think that influenced me becoming an art teacher. Reading, I read a lot of books, and I get a lot of ideas from the books that I read. This is a little lizard. It's one of my favorite animals, and I like to do lizard-themed things. I'm the mother of 2 tall boys. Of course, they weren't always tall, but today they're taller than me, so that's how I drew them. They both have sort of longish hair. And so being a mom has also influenced my life. Bond Park. I live very close to Bond Park. I go there often, going for walks and bike rides. And being in nature and nature in general is very important to me. And I'm very inspired by the animals and plants and things that I see when I go to the park. And then I also have a little garden at home that has influenced me as well. So obviously this isn't everything there is to know about me. These are just things that, like I said, sort of popped into my mind as I was doing this activity. And so I'd like you to kind of reflect on your life and think about the things that are important to you or things that are influential to you in your life. And you can fill this out. And so if you don't have an idea and you're trying to think of something to do as you're creating art, maybe you can sort of reflect on, you know, your voice and what kinds of things you might want to say and why you want to say them. Now, the other video that you see on your right is by a professional artist, and I previewed it, and I think he has some good things to say. I'm only sharing it with 5th grade, even though some of the other grade levels are also learning about voice, because it's geared more towards adults, and I know you're not adults yet. But as you continue your journey in art, if you go on and do art in middle and high school, I do want you to remember this idea of artist voice, because you're going to need to practice just your art skills, your drawing skills, being able to use the elements of art and the principles of design, being able to mix colors, being able to create digital art, which is still a learning curve for me. You're going to realize that you're always going to be working on improving your art skills. I'm 51 years old. I still have a lot to learn, and I'm still practicing. And so whether you're a professional artist or do it for fun, you're always going to keep working towards improving your skills. But you also want to keep that artistic voice in your mind and be conscious of who you are and what you're trying to say. And realize that your art is unique. You don't want to necessarily copy what somebody else is doing. It's okay as you're practicing to sort of copy the kinds of art that you like to improve your own skills. But at the same time, don't strive to be exactly like a particular artist that you admire. Be inspired by them, but develop your own voice and understand that you are a unique individual and your art is your art. It doesn't have to look like anybody else's. It doesn't necessarily have to be better or worse than anybody else's. It's like your fingerprint. It's yours. So watch the other video and you'll see what I'm talking about and hopefully learn a little bit. There is below that, I've featured an artist who is a local artist who did a mural about Cary, North Carolina, where we live. And so I'd like you to just take a look at that and think about, what does that artist have to say about our town, Cary? So enjoy doing your drawings. Use whatever materials you have. I happen to be using some Sharpie markers because that's what I had available when I was doing this, but you can use colored pencil or crayon or whatever you have available. And check out some of the other information that I have in this slide. So good luck discovering your artist voice. See you next time.